up, everybody? What's going on? Welcome to Sixers Postgame Live. The Sixers get the W 115-106 over the Brooklyn Nets. We're talking top takeaways, player of the game, everything we learned, and more. Joining me, my man, Tiago, one of the best Sixers follows on Twitter, period. He is Tiago PHL. What's up, man?
What's going on, Chris? When I woke up today, I did not think that the vastly undermanned Sixers would be taking down the fully stocked Brooklyn Nets tonight, but they did it, man. They absolutely did it. It was a impressive performance by a team that I thought I saw play in Delaware last week, but no, they balled out. A lot of credit to a lot of guys, man. A lot of guys who don't play frequently. They definitely showed out tonight.
Oh, where do we go from here? Oh my gosh, there's so many amazing performances, especially from the Sixers' depth tonight. Tobias Harris, Paul Reed, George Niang, Shake Milton, DeAnthony freaking Melton. But we got to lead off with Tobias Harris, who was unbelievable in this one. Aggressive Tobias Harris is my favorite Tobias Harris. We got Quentin in the house here. He finished the game. Where is it at? Tobias Harris had 24 points. He was a +8, 10 of 21 from the field. He was 7 of 12 from the field in the second half. He had 18 points. I just love the way he absolutely abused Joe Harris on the block, wherever it was, pull-ups, ISOs. It was absolutely hilarious to see the Nets have absolutely zero answer for Tobias Harris again and again and again, especially in the second half. What was your take on Tobias?
Yeah, Chris, I don't know if aggressive Tobias is my favorite Tobias.
All right.
I think aggressive Tobias is what the Sixers needed tonight because they literally had nobody else on the court that could score a bucket. So you definitely got aggressive Tobias tonight. And, you know, there's a lot of first half bad stuff to talk about with aggressive Tobias. But the second half, man, he was like absolutely dominant. And I think, you know, for a team that likes to run small, the Nets in particular, they run these small guards, you know, Joe Harris, Patty Mills, Seth Curry, whatever. It became very easy for Tobias to back down his men, get in position, get in the paint, turn around, hook, turn around, jumper. That's his bread and butter. People forget that only a couple years ago, when we still had only Embiid and Simmons, he was one of the better isolation scorers in the NBA. Averaged over a point per possession isolation. We saw a little bit of that tonight. They absolutely needed every one of those points. And it was funny because in the first half, I was losing my mind. He made a lot of just horrific decisions, playmaking decisions. Defensively, he looked slow. But after that rolled ankle injury that he had, man, he came back an entirely different player. And you got to give him a lot of credit. I mean, this is a guy who plays with his heart on his sleeve. And I think the Sixers benefit from guys like that on the team. They don't win this game without him tonight for sure.
Heart was a big word for this win. No one expected the team to come out and fight as much as they did in this one, because that was something that we were kind of hoping to see a lot from this Sixers roster, and we really haven't seen that much. There's been glimpses of it, for sure, but Tobias Harris in the second half was, the all-star Tobias Harris. Here is his shot chart. Just dynamic in the mid-range, just confident, just uber confident on so many different possessions. Tobias, I have to ask you a question. If this is the Tobias Harris we get for the rest of the regular season, what would you give up?
I don't want this Tobias Harris for the regular season.
Okay, come on, man.
That shot chart does not go in hand with Joel Embiid. Right, so if Joel Embiid is on the court, you know, those shots come from the corner, they come from the top of the key. They're not necessarily in the paint because that's where Joel Embiid resides. So if you're telling me that's the Tobias Harris we're going to get during the regular season when Joel comes back, it's not a recipe to win. But when Joel Embiid is not on the court and the Nets go small, they go light, absolutely, man, that is what they needed tonight. So, yeah, but I mean, tale of two different players. Earned his money tonight. There's no question about it.
Yeah. So Steven with the comment of the night. We just started. saying sell high on Tobias Harris.
How's the time, Daryl? It does not get better.
Steven says, how amazing how much the Nets look like they don't care about playing with each other. It's like 12 Joe Barry Carrolls barely care. All right.
Yeah, I want to make a point about that because the effort was embarrassing for the Brooklyn Nets. And I don't know how guys like Kevin Durant, granted, Kevin Durant is an all-time player. He's absolutely the motor of the team. You know, the Nets are going to go as far as Kevin Durant will go. But I don't know how he has the balls to go in the media and criticize guys who are much smaller in stature, right? So all the role players, but then put out an effort like that on the court. I mean, they were absolutely tearing him apart in the perimeter. He was lost in the rotations. He put in no effort on the offensive glass. The Sixers finished with 20 offensive rebounds.
Yeah,
that is an embarrassing effort. Like, especially for, you're supposed to be playing for a guy, Ben Simmons, who is coming back home, right? You would think they want to play for him and try to get him that win. And that was an embarrassing performance. Absolutely. If I'm a Nets fan, I would be absolutely livid with that. It's unacceptable.
That's where we have to go after this, because we have to jump into Paul Reed. Paul Reed arguably had his best game as a Sixer tonight. I think it was 19 and 10. I think he had 8 points in the second quarter. Paul Reed was awesome, man. And part of that is like kudos to Doc as well, because I'm really happy he made that adjustment. When they put Harrell in to start this game, I know it's just starting, it doesn't mean anything, but like he came out the gate, scoring 6 points, but he was giving up so many points in the paint.
Yeah.
And you look at Paul Reed, the dude played how many minutes? Where is that? 31 minutes tonight and had one personal foul. One personal foul, Tiago. Wait, no, hold on. Wait, was that? Yeah, no, I was right. 31 minutes, 19 points. He was a plus 21. Just what a game. What was your thoughts on Paul Reed?
Yeah, it's funny that they would even stick to Montrezl Harrell as a center, because if they're going to be bleeding that many points when he's on the court, you might as well just run small with PJ Tucker at the 5 and try to run the opposition into the ground, right? So they don't even do that. They go back to Harrell, which he's going to be bleeding points in the paint anyways. But when it comes to Reed, man, I think what we're seeing is keeping him engaged on a regular basis, right? So even in the games where he's not particularly efficient, you still give him 7 to 10 minutes, let him stay on the court, sort through his mistakes. Tonight, you saw the impact that he has, not only defensively, but also on the offensive end. So one of the things that, I really try to pay attention with Paul is when he's playing off the ball offensively, how are you moving? How are you helping your teammates either get open shots or get you looks at the rim? And I thought that tonight he did a very good job of cutting, finding pockets in Brooklyn's defense. Now, granted, Brooklyn's interior defense is almost non-existent, but I thought he was phenomenal in just finding those pockets in the defense, getting those tip-ins, getting those easy dunks and lobs. And that's how you end up playing 31 minutes, because you're not only impacting the game defensively, but you're also making an impact on the offensive end. And, 19 and 10, 3 steals, that's elite level backup play for a backup center. If the Sixers get that from anywhere near that level of production from Paul Reed, he's easily a 20-minute player in the NBA. So I'm happy they've stuck with him at least for 5 to 10 minutes here and there. And tonight they needed him for everything. And he delivered, man. We talked about Paul Reed. We've written about Paul Reed. He's got that level of impact. It's just a matter of sticking through the mistakes.
Yeah, what a game. Like, when you talk about Paul Reed, you talk about offensive rebounding. The Sixers came into this one dead last in offensive rebounding percentage in the NBA. Absolutely terrible. Like, this is the stat of the game, Tiago. The Sixers had 20 offensive rebounds compared to the Nets 4. 20! When was the last time you saw a rebounding differential in favor of the Sixers like that?
Is that a rhetorical question? Because I would probably have to go back to
It's wild. I don't remember talking about that at all.
No, you're absolutely right. They attacked the glass. I think not having Joel Embiid on the court, that's the recipe, right? You're not going to get easy buckets. If I tell you that the Sixers shot 43% from the field, and the Nets shot 55% from the field, right? You would think the Sixers lost this game by double digits. But the Sixers had 99 shot attempts. Brooklyn had 80. So they generated close to 20 more shot attempts just by sheer attacking the glass, like you said, and attacking Brooklyn's soft interior. So it shows you the power of, attacking the offensive glass. When Embiid is out there, they clearly have a different strategy. They do not want Embiid getting caught near the paint and losing the transition battle. So they want him floating back on defense. But you got to throw everything in the kitchen sink when he's not out there. You got to do everything possible. And the Sixers leaning offensively on the glass, and I give him credit for that.
Love it, man. All right, let's roll into one of my favorite players on the Sixers roster, and that is De'Anthony Melton. Melton had 22 points in this one, 6 of 11 from three-point range. If you look at the last 3 games by De'Anthony Melton, he is shooting 13 of 24, good for 54% from three-point range. That was one of the biggest things with De'Anthony Melton. The three-point shooting, when is it going to come along? Because defensively, he's looked really good. He's looked really good with James Harden. It's just been the perimeter shooting. What was your take on De'Anthony Melton?
I mean, my immediate takeaway is that the Sixers hit a slam dunk in that draft day trade. I mean, we talk about prospects and wanting to stock up the system. It doesn't mean that's not important, but when you can get a player like that at pick whatever they were picking at 20-something for the first-round pick, I think that's a slam dunk move by the Sixers. He's been asked to carry a lot more ball handling load with Maxey and Harden out, right? So he's de facto like a pseudo point guard with Shake Milton now. Look at the box score, 2 turnovers again against Minnesota the game prior. So he's not turning the ball over. He's hitting shots off the bounce, which is going to force defense to think twice about how they want to defend the Sixers when he's out on the court. So I think all signs are trending positive for him offensively. And again, defensively, there are no other comments to what you said, Chris. The guy's been one of the most disruptive defenders in the NBA. He was last year. He's been carrying that on this year. It started a little bit slow, but you're starting to see why the Sixers heavily coveted this guy with their first-round pick this year. He is going to be a massive part to what they want to get accomplished in the spring. So let's just hope he's one of the guys that stays healthy and continues to improve on both ends.
Yep. All right. Let's go to some comments real quick. Steven says, felt like every good defensive play the Nets made or fast break missed the Sixers had. B-Ball Paul was there for the follow. That, especially in the second half, there was like a stretch in I think it was the fourth quarter. Like there was at least 2 or 3 back-to-back plays there. No game showed how good that Melton trade was then tonight. Melton and Shake Milton, baby. Let's get into this Shake Milton thing because no Tyrese Maxey, no James Harden. They need to get someone to step up in the backcourt. Shake Milton is averaging 21.5 points per game in their absence. 21! Shake is stepping up big time. He shot 3 of 5 from 3 in the first one tonight. What was Shake shooting tonight from three-point range? I'm going to find it real quick. 2 of 3. Talking about stepping up like everybody else in this one. What was your take on Shake?
Well, my take on Shake speaks to a bigger thing that goes with respect to the Sixers bench, right? There's a massive narrative around the Sixers bench as being completely inadequate that I don't necessarily agree with. And I think games like tonight is a perfect example of why they are adequate, because you're relying on your bench to be one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, I don't know how Doc Rivers look at a guy like Shake Milton, who I'm not a big fan of. Like, I think Shake Milton was a borderline replacement level NBA player, right? I think Korkmaz the same, and so forth. I don't know how Doc Rivers looks at the team on the court today and think, you know what? I need to put these guys on the bench for the entire season, right? You talk about guys who come in and step in, give you 5-10 minutes, give guys like Maxey a breather, give your 33-year-old point guard a breather, right? You can give Joel Embiid a breather with Paul Reed. And we look at the box score every single night when everybody's back on the court. It's 35 to 40 minutes for the starters and 5 to 10 minutes, or sometimes most of the time 0 minutes for some of those bench guys. So I just hope that Doc looks at the big picture from the injuries that are happening right now with the Sixers and realize that, yeah, these guys are not particularly great individually in a vacuum, but if you put them around certain playmakers, they're able to give you more than what you expect. And they should absolutely be part of the Sixers rotation, at least through the regular season, because if you plan to bring Harden back and play him at 35 to 40 minutes again, man, guess what? He's just not going to be healthy for the playoffs. It's just the way it's going to be. Same thing for Embiid, right? We've seen the Embiid film over and over again. He's going to come back. You're going to play 40 minutes. He's not going to be ready for the playoffs. So you got to lean into what these guys are showing you and hope that they can deliver, at least in the meaningless regular season games, right? When you don't have to be playing these guys for more than 30 minutes and go from there. So big picture, Shea, Korkmaz, they're showing what they've shown in their career, which is more than enough to give them spot minutes here and there. So
even Korkmaz showed you that swag today. Like,
yeah, he did.
George Niang came up going 4 or 5 from 3. You know, just it was impressive. It was impressive top to bottom. I mean, how many bench points did they have in this one with a weak bench to start? It was really, really impressive. Where do we go from here, man? I'm trying to think. Let's talk about Ben Simmons. Let's talk about Ben Simmons and his return to Philadelphia. We haven't touched that yet. You look at his game. I mean, my take was, at least to start in the first half when I was watching the game, I was happy to see kind of Ben playing with somewhat confidence in this one, because we all know it's been a struggle. He finished 11 points, 11 assists, or 11 rebounds, whatever. It doesn't matter. But what I will put out there, though, Tiago, the dude didn't have a single basket in the fourth quarter. He had one attempt in the second half total. What was your take on Ben?
Yeah, I mean, my take on Ben is that if you are an anti-Simmons fan, you're happy because the Sixers won and everybody got free chicken on the second half. So free chicken for everybody off the free throw misses. At the same time, if you are a Ben Simmons fan, I think you're happy as well, because I thought the guy had a very good game. And I've been watching it very closely. You guys know I am a Ben Simmons fan. I watch his games very closely. You can clearly tell that over the last week and a half, he has definitely taken his game to a next level. And you can see how he fits a lot of what the Nets want to get done on both ends of the court. They move around and they cut. He had over 10 assists tonight. I think if people expect him to be this 30-point per game player in the NBA, he's not going to be that. But yeah, overall, I thought that, it was your typical Ben Simmons, get guys shots open, play good defense, get your occasional bucket game. And like you said, when the game was on the line, didn't see a lot of Ben Simmons on the score sheet, missed free throws in the second half, all the stuff that we're grown accustomed to watching when he was here in Philadelphia. I just hope that over time they just kind of move on, because I think the Sixers have much bigger goals to accomplish than win a Ben Simmons battle on the court. And one day I hope that Ben and Joel face each other, man. I would love to see that matchup out on the court. But overall, I think it was a positive night for everybody, for the Ben fans and for the Ben haters. Everybody won tonight. No losers. Absolutely no losers.
Yeah, as much as it is what it is, but I was happy to see Ben kind of getting back to where he was. At the end of the day, I want to see Ben at his best. That's what it is. Yep. Quinn says Thibault barely played. He got hurt, right? He hurt his ankle, I believe, and left the game. At least I think.
I did not see that one, so if that
pretty sure he got hurt. Pretty sure. Last thing before we get into player of the game, we got to talk about the PJ Tucker thing. He's not scored in 4 straight games, I believe. PJ Tucker, yep, he had 0 points, 0-6 from the field. A lot of people are going to be complaining about PJ Tucker. Do you know what his plus minus is over those 4 games?
Chris, you actually stumped me on that one. Probably a plus 30.
Plus 45.
Plus 45, all right. Yeah, wow.
What was your take on PJ Tucker?
I have a lot of takes on PJ Tucker, man. I'm just starting to right now. I think if you're going to pay a guy 3 years, $12 million plus a year to score 0 points in a month, you're absolutely out of your damn mind, because you have guys on the team that will do that for free, right? I'm just calling like it is. I'm trying to be respectful to the Sixers front office. The guy is a great defensive player, man. I mean, you said the numbers right. 0 buckets, plus 40. He's a monster on the glass. Does a lot of positive things, man. But I've seen guys on this team get crucified for not shooting or for not shooting the ball well, but playing great to elite level defense. So I'm just wondering at what point will PJ Tucker start getting the Matisse Thybulle, Ben Simmons treatment in Philadelphia? Because it's bad, man. Like, it's bad. And this guy's here for like 2 more years after this at $12+ million a year. So again, for this year, like, it's working kind of, and he does some good things defensively, even though I think that he has definitely taken a step back physically. You can clearly tell. And like I said, when the signing happened, man, this has disaster written all over it from a signing standpoint. And right now it's not looking very good.
All right, here's another number. Over the last 4 games, we're talking 140 minutes. He played nearly 40 minutes tonight. How many 3-point attempts has he taken? Did I say 4 point? How many 3-point attempts has he taken the last 4 games? What would be your guess?
In the last 4 games total? Maybe
total.
like 10 total?
3 attempts. From
wow. Chris.
All right, we have to be even here because when I told you the plus minus, like, we killed Tobias Harris every game for this reason last season. He has it coming. He has it coming.
It's time, man, because it's bad, dude. Like, it's bad. And there was nobody giving him 12 million, whatever money a year to PJ Tucker. And he's clearly here because the general manager loves him and because the best player asked for him. So we need to start getting down to some answers here, man, because like I said, you can get me to go out there and take 3 pointers, 3 3 pointers, and all I'm gonna ask is for $100 cash and like a gift card to the team store. That's it.
Kumar says rather no shots than bad shots. I don't know if I agree with that. Especially with Embiid. I mean, we've been complaining about that for years with Matisse and Ben.
Point up because he's absolutely right. It is not fair to compare PJ to Simmons, and the reason why is because when Simmons doesn't score, he makes for you. He gives you 10 to 15 assists, and he plays first team all defense. PJ Tucker doesn't pass the ball, and he's not a first team all defensive player. Now, if you're gonna tell me that,
I don't know how much PJ Tucker's put in that position to pass the ball too, though.
True, that's true. That's very true.
I think that's more of the Doc's offense because of the lack of cutting, the lack of movement, all of that kind of stuff goes into PJ Tucker. Like, I feel like Doc is doing a terrible job fitting PJ Tucker into this offense. That's where it should be absolutely vice versa. Doc should be trying to fit all the pieces into a more cohesive offense, and he's trying to put all these like square pegs into circle holes from everything we saw last playoffs because it's so isolation heavy, especially with James and Tyrese and Joel. That's my problem with the offense.
Yeah, that's true.
Quinn says you can't win in May, June with a point guard that doesn't score and can't make free throws. Man, we lived and died with that, didn't we, Quinn? Didn't we? Yeah. All right. Let's go into player of the game. Tiago, who's your player of the game?
My player of the game is Tobias Harris. I'm going to make it easy, simple. The Sixers do not win this game with Tobias Harris in the second half. Yeah. He took the game over offensively. I'm still trying to understand what the Nets were doing defensively. They didn't try to put Simmons on him. They didn't try to put O'Neal on him. He was shooting over guys who I see at my niece's daycare. So, it was very easy. The offense for Tobias tonight, but credit to him, man. He showed up.
Yeah, Tobias was just locked in, man, in that second half. Again, he was 7 of 12 from the field for 18 points in the second half. Dude was playing every bit like Clippers Tobias Harris. Yeah, it probably felt good for him too, right? Like he probably needed that just a little bit to get some of that confidence back. It's for me, this one's obvious. Is Paul Reed. I thought Paul Reed was sensational. 1910. His energy, hustle, heart, grit, toughness. A big reason they won this one was rebounding, especially offensively, and he was a huge part of that. He also had 2 blocks and 3 steals, plus 21, leading the Sixers on that number. So for me, Paul Reed, really happy to see kind of. I know it's not how you start; it's how you finish when it comes to who starts and who doesn't. But I mean, I was watching this game, and like we said at the beginning of the show, like Harold put up 6 points, but the Nets were also 8 of 9 from the basket from the first quarter, like for halfway through. And credit to Doc Rivers for making that adjustment and playing Paul Reed for, I don't know, like that. Is that the most he's played all season? I'm not sure, but I'm going to look into that for sure. Steven says restart the victory tour. But man, that's just so fun to watch. This was a fun game to watch, right? Like
absolutely.
Like no, I did not expect this. Like when I asked you to do a post game show, I thought you were going to say no and be like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Because you're missing your top 3 players. But they came out with heart, man, and that's something that we haven't seen consistently this season. So credit to the entire team, not just Paul Reed. Let's wrap it up. Final thoughts, plugs.
Yeah, just one more point because you did mention Doc Rivers, and we're very critical of him when he does poorly, which is a lot of times. But I think that on a game like tonight, you're underhanded, so it's very easy for the team just to show up and go through the motions. The team was engaged; they were clearly playing for each other. I think that is a credit on the head coach, so we got to give him credit for that. And like you said, most importantly, he's stuck with what works, right? I mean, Paul Reed did a lot of great stuff on the court, but he still does the stuff where like he would dribble the ball off his foot and toss up an air ball. But Doc Rivers decided to stick with that this time, and I think that it paid dividends in the end. So I'll definitely give Doc Rivers a shout for helping out on the win tonight, and definitely not getting in the way. But we all know that he's going to get in the way sooner rather than later.
Yeah, you had to throw that in there at the very end. You had to. I think the honest take here, and we've said this 1,000 times on these post-game shows, is hopefully like this is a start in the right direction for the Sixers' depth.
Yeah.
Because we've seen the starting lineup, James, Tyrese, Joel, like they're playing 35 or more minutes every single night in, night out. Like hopefully this is a start of more Paul Reed. This is more everything. Yeah, we need. You're not going to get into the playoffs with James Harden playing 40 minutes a game, like through the regular season. It's just not going to happen. So these kind of like small wins, when it comes to like Doc Rivers, like and his rotations and lineup combinations, I think it's a big deal. I think there's like kind of there's small wins here, because that's how they're gonna win at the end of the day. Like if Joel Embiid doesn't have legs left come May, you're effed. You're just straight effed.
Yeah.
Especially in this ISO heavy offense. It is what it is. Let's wrap it up. Plugs, man. Time's yours.
Yeah, man. So I finished up an article last week for Paul Reed. Talked about his defensive end.
Yeah.
And maybe Doc Rivers ended up reading it after all. So played him 31 minutes tonight. Hooray. And then, I'm also a huge soccer fan. You guys know, wrote an article about the World Cup. The World Cup is on. If you guys now watch soccer, I feel bad for you guys because it's a lot of fun. And Chris is not a soccer guy.
I hate soccer. I hate soccer more.
It's not for everybody, but
it's so boring.
It's fun to watch. So check that out. Let's go Brazil.
One of my bachelor party for my bachelor party was in New York for the Embiid draft, and in New York in Manhattan at the Nets Stadium. And the first thing we did, Tiago, was we went to a World Cup game, and we went to the American Outlaws like headquarters. It was like some bar in Manhattan. I'm talking like 7 a.m. We had like an Irish breakfast, lots and lots of alcohol, and it was really fun. Like the game sucked. I hated watching the game, but like everything else was really fun. The chanting and like everything off the field was a blast.
We all know the U.S. loves to throw a party, and if there's anytime there's a reason to throw a party, we'll do it right. So the World Cup is definitely a time to do that. The U.S. plays England on Friday afternoon.
Okay.
Even if you do not like soccer, all bars are going to be packed. It's
that makes sense.
Massive match, and there's going to be a lot of rivalry stuff going on. So, yeah.
My friend, I didn't even put it together. He's from England.
Yeah.
And he was asking me Friday, like, where are we going?
Oh, really?
And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, soccer game. I'm like, what? It just that makes sense now. Because I'm off work. He's off work. I didn't even know that. I honestly had no idea they were playing England. So that's so crazy. All right, but we are wrapping it up. If you love football, before this show, during the game, we did an Eagles versus Packers preview. Everything you need to know about Aaron Rodgers, the offense, the Packers defense. Go check that out. If you love the NFL draft, I also put out my first two of many positional rankings, interior defensive line and edge rushers. Great positions and huge positions of need for the Eagles. Cornerbacks will be out tomorrow or like Wednesday, depending on how bad my hangover is tomorrow morning. And then, all the Eagles content you can ever imagine. So I thought Dives had more culture. I mean, culture is subjective, right? Like you could say like film, TV is culture too. I watch a shit ton of that. Not like overrated soccer. But anyway.
No cheap shots. We're not staying for that.
Tiago is to Doc Rivers as Dives is to soccer. Let's just say that. Let's leave it at that. All right. Thank you everyone for watching. We have derailed.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the comments. Please be sure to like this video if you love Paul Reed victory tours, because hopefully that is sign of more things to come here for the Sixers and that backup center position, which is absolutely massive moving forward. And the depth. Kudos to Doc. Moved on from Harrell, played Paul Reed, moving in the right direction. Huge win. Showed a ton of heart in this one. It was a fun game to watch. This is the basketball I like to kind of break down. So follow my man Tiago over there on Twitter at TiagoPHL. Amazing. If you're on Twitter and you love the Sixers, go give him a follow. I am Dives, Mr. Crockpot. For Tiago, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.